So we are now on page 153, about to do numbers 5 through 16. So these are the kinds where I'm going to read it, you're going to do it on your own, come back, put your answer in, and then we'll go over it together. So for number 5, it says 6/10 is 10 times as much as. I'm going to set this one up for you to make sure we're understanding it. So it's saying 6/10 is 10 times something. So if 6/10 is 10 times something, that means 6/10 is the bigger piece. We want the smaller number here. So think what you're going to do to find the smaller number. Go ahead, put your answer in and come on back. Let's go ahead and solve this. If we're looking for the smaller number, remember, if we want to go smaller, we're going to go left. So we're going to move our decimal point over 1 to the left, and that's going to get me 6/100. So 6/10 is 10 times as much as 6/100. Let's do number 6. 7/100 is 1/10 of. Go ahead and solve it. 7/100 is the smaller piece of what number? If 7/100 is the smaller, 7,000 is the smaller piece, then we're looking for a bigger number. If I want to go bigger, I want to go to the right. So I'm going to move my decimal point over 1 to the right, and I'm going to have 0 and 7/100 as my answer. So 7,000 is one small piece of 7/100. Let's make sure we understand that. If we were to compare 7,000 to 7/100, we would look at our numbers. We'd look at our tenths place and we'd see that they're the same. So we'd look at our hundredths place and we would see that the 7/100 is bigger. So we know that 7/100 is a bigger number than 7,000. Let's look at number 7. 8,000 is 1/10 of blank. Go ahead and solve it. 8,000 is the one smaller piece of what number? If 8,000 is the small piece, we're looking for a bigger number. If we're going to go bigger, we're going to go to the right. So move it over 1 to the right. And we've got 8/100. So 8,000 is 1/10 or one small piece of 8/100. Number 8, 5/10 is 10 times as much as. Think about for this one if you're going to go bigger or smaller. Let's look at it. So 5/10 is 10 times as much as, or 10 times bigger than another number. So if the 5/10 is the bigger number, we're trying to go smaller. So we're going to go 1 to the left. And that's going to get me 5/100. Let's go ahead and move on to our chart. All right, so I'm going to remind you how we're going to read our chart. We're going to read it as 2/10 is 10 times, how do I want to read this? Let's read it this way. 2/10 is 10 times as much as, let's remember how we're going to read this chart. We're going to read it as, what is 10 times as much as 2/10? 10 times as much as 2/10 would be 2, because you would move it one place to the right. What is 1/10 of 2/10? That would be 2/100. So remember, the 10 times as much as, you're asking, what is 10 times as much as the number? Or what is 1/10 of the number? Go ahead and do number 10. So what is 10 times as much as, or 10 times bigger than 7/100? If we're going to go bigger, we're going to go to the right. So we're going to move that one place to the right, and that's going to get me 7/10. What is 1/10 of 7/100? 1/10 of 7/100, so we move it one place to the left. So that's going to get me 7,000. Go ahead and do number 11. For number 11, we're asking ourselves, what is 10 times as much as 5/100? Remember, to go bigger, we're going to go 1 to the right. So that's going to get me 5/10. What is 1/10 of 5/100? What is that one small piece of 5/100? We're going to move it 1 to the left, and we're going to get 5,000. Go ahead and do number 12. For number 12, we're asking, what is 10 times as much as 4/10? What is 10 times bigger than 4/10? If we're going to go bigger, we're going to move to the right. So your answer is going to be 4. What is 1/10 of 4/10? What is that one small piece of 4/10? You're going to move one to the left, so you're going to get 4/100. Let's move on and do a couple more of those before we do some problems on our own. Same thing, we're asking ourselves, what is 10 times as much as 6/100? 10 times bigger than 6/100. Go ahead and put your answer in. You should have put 6/10. 6/10 is 10 times as much as 6/100. What is 1/10 of 6/100? Your answer should be 6,000 because we moved our decimal point one to the left. What is 10 times as much as 9/10? Remember, 10 times as much as, go ahead and work that problem out. 10 times as much as 9/10, you should have put 9. 1/10 of 9/10, you should have put 9/100. Two more. Go ahead and answer number 15. What is 10 times as much as 3/10? You should have put 3. 1/10 of 3/10, we're looking for that smaller number, you should have put 3/100. Go ahead and do number 16. For number 16, 10 times as much as, or 10 times bigger than it, would be 8/10. And 1/10 of would be 8,000. I hope you got those correct. Now it's time to move on and do some on your own before you come meet me in the Google Meet.